Dinesh D'Souza is here. He's conservative commentator, executive producer of the Trump Card. We like him because of his brilliance, not because of your background. This is embarrassing. He goes through these picks and says, I got to tell you why I picked you. Not because you're really smart and qualified. It's your background, the color of your skin. Is this a step backwards for America?
It's absolutely terrible. Normally, you'd want to pick a team based upon qualifications alone. Now, look, I don't think in principle there's anything wrong with saying I want to reflect the diversity of the country. But look, this is a hugely diverse country in terms of religious diversity, cultural diversity, regional diversity, intellectual diversity, ideological diversity. Now, Biden wants none of that. In fact, he wants uniformity in those categories, and the only categories that matter to him are skin color and gender and sexual orientation. What does that have to do with being a defense secretary or a secretary of transportation? Nothing at all.
Dinesh, I think that's a good point. I would also like to add this. If you're African American, I have a sense that maybe not every African American agrees with Al Sharpton or Colonel Allen West. Why label them that way? Because it's an insult, I think, to people of color or people of gender.
The Democrats have built their whole politics on identity politics. Their whole idea is to create a majority coalition of these victimized groups, and they've gone even beyond the normal calculus. It's almost as if race gives you 1 point, gender gives you 1 point, but if you are a black woman, you get 2 points, because now you're race and gender. So it's almost like you've got this bizarre calculus that is not, and you hear it in Joe Biden's voice. I got a 1 over here and a 1 over here, but I got a 2 over there. And it's almost as if they have now become so obsessed with all this that they basically think that every individual is reducible to their skin color, their gender, and their sex organs.
Nice way to put it. MSNBC underlined this issue, I think, brilliantly. So let's watch how they went about and talk about diversity in Joe Biden.
We need to make sure that this is a cabinet, has a secretary in the cabinet that is Asian American.
Makes sense that attorney general would be a black person.
Diversity within our diversity. And for us, it's going to be very important in the Hispanic community to see a Latina in the cabinet.
Now you know where he gets it. He's answering to them.
He's answering to them, and the phrase that these people keep using is looks like America, and my problem is with the word looks, because quite clearly they're after a sort of cosmetic diversity, a diversity of appearances, and not a real diversity of thoughts or ideas. That actually would contribute to bringing new perspectives into government, but that's not what Joe Biden is after at all.
So Kamala Harris, you know, is the vice president-elect. She's going to vacate her seat as senator from California. Alex Padilla has been named by the governor to fill that slot, and he is going to be the first Latino senator from California. They say it's a victory for working families across the great state. I assume they think that Hispanic families are the only ones that work. The mayor of San Francisco said naming Padilla is a real blow to the African-American community. We don't even know anything about him yet. We just know the color of his skin bothers some people and heartens others.
How terrible it is that in a country we have to be reducible merely to our ethnic heritage. Now, our ethnic identity is part of who we are. I'm an immigrant from India, so a part of me is that. But that's not the whole of me, and to be able to try to predict how I think, how I feel, what my politics are, based upon just looking at me, this is a kind of outrageous diminution of people's individuality and what truly makes them diverse.
Dinesh, is this a step backward for our country? Is this the last gasp before America truly becomes the melting pot, where it really doesn't matter your background and heritage, just that you're an American? Step forward or step back?
I mean, think what a tight slap in the face this is to Martin Luther King. So even though we venerate Martin Luther King every year, the simple fact is that the left has completely abandoned and betrayed his ideology. He talked about an America where we get beyond race, where we are colorblind, where we judge people by the content of our character. And you just have to listen to Joe Biden talk to realize that he represents the antithesis of what King stood for.